Hello everybody, welcome to Zelda Speedruns, broadcasting the Skyward Sword WingClash Any Percent Tournament 2023. Really? We got the lower bracket round 1 for you today. It's game 1 between Zeldz08 and Fireworkspinner. Commentating for us, we have Tato ISR and Your Average Link. Say hello everybody.
Hi,
Hello.
I'm back.
I am, I guess, also back from being on this channel 2 days ago, but now not as a player. Anyway.
Yeah, we can hear your beautiful voice now.
I mean, I was in the interview. Anyway.
Oh, right, yeah, I forgot that.
This will be our first double English race of the, at least first restreamed double English race, so no staring at a Japanese screen for 2 minutes before they can start.
You can read the text as it happens.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And not only because it's English, but also because it's super slow.
Yeah. Mostly because it's super slow and you actually have time to catch this stuff. Also, as we all know, the lore in Skyward Sword is perfect and hated by 0 people. So, the more of that, the better.
I will not comment on Tato's opinions about the lore of Skyward Sword. Anyway, let's focus on the gameplay. Hooray, let's go. Alright, so yeah, both runners are on hero mode, so they can skip cutscenes. Very nice to have.
So true.
You also kind of need hero mode for the last trick in this run. So, there's that.
And because a bunch of back-in times actually prompt this broken unskippable, or not unskippable, a broken like soft lock cutscene.
Oh yeah, I guess you
can't
get the tunic. At least you can't get it the weird way that we do in this route on normal mode.
Mm-hmm.
There used to be a cutscene also at the end of the game, like before Horde, that would soft lock on not hero mode, but now we just skip Horde entirely, but the trick that does that involves hero mode. Anyway, here's Horwell.
So true.
Despite the fact that we're in hero mode, we're still going to get this tutorial about talking.
Yes, because this is a Nintendo game at the end of the day, so we gotta go through that.
You never know, you might be like downloading hero mode files off the internet to play the game for the first time as a speedrun.
Sorry, what? I'm not familiar with this tactic. I'm sure the only way people would be getting hero mode files would be to play the game entirely, right? People would never download files from the internet of this game.
Alright, very good rimlet jump for Zeldz.
So true.
This trick... Firework
no, the first hay of the run.
Yeah, this trick is deceptively difficult. I lost 30 seconds to this trick in my race a few days ago.
Mm-hmm. It is also... I think worse than the actual time save is how much it just breaks your spirit, because it's the first thing you have to do in the run.
Yeah, and it's like, if you're doing regular attempts, it's before you save, so you can reset for free, but when you're in a race, you can't, and then you're just sad.
Yeah. Also, because no one ever bothers to practice this trick in actual runs, because it's the first trick of the race. You just reset it if you miss it, right?
There's no point in practicing.
Unless you're me, a psychopath.
Right, so you normally don't have to save this remlet. It's optional. However, this remlet is a master lockpick and is going to help us get into the first dungeon later.
Yeah. Essentially, we just need the game to know that we saved this remlet. Which will be important later. Like the Chekhov's gun of a speedrun.
Exactly. This speedrun is like full of... It's like Chekhov's... It's Chekhov's armory.
So true. There's so many weapons. Lining up with the post on Zelda.
Can't believe I've never thought of that before. That's a perfect way of describing it.
I mean, technically every speedrun has a setup and a payoff because you need to prompt certain glitches. It's just some are easier than others to understand. And Skyward Sword seems to be, if to a certain degree, pretty easy to understand. Like if you get past some logistics, it tends to be pretty simple.
Specifics of Back in Time, which is the glitch you're seeing right now, are quite complicated. However, most of the stuff you do with it.
No!
Oh, that
the
feels
void.
So
Rest in peace. That's another one that just doesn't lose as much time as some of the later stuff, but just crushes your soul.
Not to mention, this is the first trick that you have to do a slow reset for if you're going to reset your run, because you've already saved your file. And you're going to need all 3 of these files fresh, good as new, to do a run. So you have to go all the way back, reload your save file from your SD card.
Yeah, resetting as a Skyward Sword runner is a pain of itself. It's like the
Yeah, unless you're running no bit.
Yeah.
Like, I guess you could also reset.
Is Firework on the Wii U?
I think so. So Wii U runners like myself unfortunately lose about 20 seconds throughout the run due to the fact that in order to reset the console for Back in Time, you have to use the home menu because there's no physical reset button. And it's about 1.5 seconds slower if you're fast at resetting on the home menu to use the home menu compared to the reset button. And since there's 13 instances of Back in Time, that's 19.5 seconds, which we budged up to 20.
Yeah, not terrible, but significant.
And unfortunately not enough to give me a head start in the rules. Very sad.
No one's gonna give you pity points, Yell. Life doesn't give you head starts. Come on.
Hey, well...
Unless you're on English.
Yeah. Unless you're on English, which I would argue is the same degree of, like, justification as being on Wii U. It's a hardware thing. It's something that I can't fix unless I buy something.
Actually, it's a skill issue. Simply do not have a Wii U.
Sorry,
Simply have a Wii instead.
The problem is I do have a Wii, but it can't read discs. Its disc reader is broken.
Well, my disc reader has been increasingly sussy as well, so I might be in the same boat.
I've thought about getting a Wii at some point, but the problem is then I'd also have to get a Wii to HDMI and I'd have to re-homebrew, and I wonder if it's really worth it for those 20 seconds.
It's pretty easy to homebrew a Wii.
Considering the fact that I know the first thing I'm gonna do when I have a physical reset button is accidentally reset for Back in Time when I'm supposed to be death warping.
So true.
It's like, oh, I have this power.
Yeah, the unlimited power. Or you could just be like me and reset before you hit the continue. Because you get so zealous.
You might have noticed during the Back in Time sequence, we picked up the Goddess Sword, used it to strike the crest, and place the Emerald Tablet. But the only thing that we actually keep on our file was the fact that we have the Farron Pillar. Everything else that happens in Back in Time, like besides what you start your file before happening, stays in Back in Time. So we have to get the Goddess Sword for real now. Because thankfully, part of that sequence was we saved at the statue in Back in Time, which puts you on this weird layer of Skyloft where the colors are all washed out.
Skyloft.
And
yeah, this is actually the map of Skyloft that is... Yeah, this is the map of Skyloft that is loaded on the splash screen. Or the title screen, I guess.
Yeah, they could have had they could have just had like something pre-rendered or whatever, but no, it's an actual.
No.
You're there.
We made a map, and we can be on it because there are bird statues. A lot of actually an increasing amount of skips in this game are just the fact that they put bird statues in weird places that didn't need to have bird statues.
Well, I mean, oh, I guess the final trick in this run does rely on one of those bird statues, but it makes sense for that one to be there. It just doesn't make sense for it to be loaded in that boss fight.
Right.
Anyway, we'll get to that later. It's Chekhov's gun in the commentary.
Chekhov's gun in the commentary. Okay, yeah, so, to explain to the newcomers, of which there are probably little, what that sequence with the Farron pillars, and the runners are just going to be going to save the bird, so I think this is a good time to explain the basics. What happened there was called reverse bit magic, and in this game there are 3 types of flags: story flags, scene flags, and what's the other one?
Temporary flags.
Temporary flags, yeah. So the Lanira pillar is a story flag, meaning that no matter on which map you are, it is the same flag. So like if
this is the Farron pillar.
Yeah, because it has to be, the game has to know that the Farron pillar is there.
Like for example, you can see
on
Fireworks screen the pillars up there in the sky. You need to be able to both see that on Skyloft and in the sky. So
yeah,
if it were just localized to the sky, the game wouldn't really have a good way of knowing that the pillar is there visually for Skyloft.
Yeah. In contrast, scene flags are to save memory, I think. They have like the same names in different areas, so like
so a decent amount of areas, like roughly segmented geographically, have 128 bits in memory, which can correspond to different actions on there. Not every scene uses all of them. In fact, some of them use very few. But
it's like one of them is the logs that were just cut down in the entrance to the waterfall cave by Zeldz, and in a little bit are going to be cut by Fireworks. On Skyloft, the flag that's set when you cut those, so that you don't have to cut them back cut them again when you come back to them.
Yeah.
That would just be logs. Like you cut the little sticks things.
Yeah, the game obviously doesn't want you to see that the logs are perfectly back together later.
Yeah. In Farron, however,
so those logs aren't
would be the Farron trial being open.
Yeah, but you're not gonna see that later, because you have to also have gotten the harp song for the
right
stage
like barring a few conditions. The basic idea of reverse bit magic is having the game set one flag while you're starting a file, so that it applies that flag on the map that you're on. So in a bit, we'll be seeing a few applications of this. Yeah. But that's the general idea, is setting one flag in one place on a different map.
The applications that we're doing are actually regular bit magic, because a lot of what we're doing on Skyloft, like normally if you're playing this game even casually fast, like if you're playing this game without back in time, by now you'd have like gotten the goddess sword, you'd have gotten the tunic, the sailcloth, you'd be leaving to enter Farron soon. And yet we're not even close. So a lot of what we're doing is setting up being able to leave Skyloft and back in time, because Skyloft has limitations with what you can do in back in time. For one, you obviously can't enter Farron, which is like useful if we want to like warp into Farron somehow. Hint, hint.
Yeah. Well, we can get into Farron. It's just that the conditions for which we would make Farron be there in the sky aren't really present in a normal... Like, we can't get to the sky with the Farron pillar without doing a specific set of things. For example, if we load into the sky with the file that has the tunic, back in time will crash, and we can't actually be there.
There's a very specific set of circumstances we have to set up.
Mm-hmm. We also, because we're in the Loftwing tutorial, we need to be able to dive. So you need a file that has the Farron pillar, does not have the tunic, and can dive. So it has the ability to dive off the Loftwing. Right.
We're gonna see hopefully a trick here from Zeldz. Nice. So after the Loftwing, there's a lengthy cutscene you'll have with Zelda, and then Groose will show up, and then the wing ceremony will be starting. However, there are 2 frames before that starts where you can control Link, and if you side hop during those 2 frames, you can just skip the cutscene.
The game's a little quirky like that.
and we go to die because the next thing we're doing is another instance of Back in Time. So as Tato mentioned, we want to get a file that has the Loftwing, or no, that doesn't have the Loftwing, but still enters the regular version of the sky, so that we can get the flag for being able to dive off your Loftwing. Because this kind of file is basically our ticket to Sky Back in Time and Farron Back in Time.
Which will lead to a bunch of wacky shenanigans.
Yeah. So the way we're doing this is, looks like Firework is missing the trick, but there's a backup.
I can finally see the barrel thing because I'm so ancient that I don't know this strategy.
So what Zeldz did there is he selected file 2, backed out to the splash screen, and then opened the statue and opened the splash screen upon selecting the statue, which basically duplicated all of the information from file 3 onto file 2. But since file 2 is a new file, it doesn't have any coordinates, so it just loads directly into the sky when you perform what's called a reverse bit warp, which is where you take the file from Back in Time into a map by starting your file and then entering that map.
A fun little quirk about it, though, is that because all the information is copied, file 3, if you remember, was saved behind the waterfall cave. So if we die, that's exactly where we'll spawn. So that's kind of the goal right now. And it looks like Zeld's got a silver rupee Gwei.
Yeah.
Which will never have the path of trajectory necessary to get a hit.
What we try to have happen is there's a Gwei in the sky that we die with, so we can we're back to where we're saved. However, there's a very small chance that the Gwei spawns with a silver rupee, which makes it significantly faster, and I think it can just sometimes disappear.
Yeah.
So instead, he has to die with these Octo Rocks, which is unfortunately slower, but nothing really you can do about that.
Yeah, that's just a 5% RNG chance, if I remember correctly.
Fireworks doing this file dupe in a weird method, but should hopefully be working.
So yeah, now we have a file that has the flag for diving before we save the Loftwing. So when we save the Loftwing, we are just going to be diving to the Farron Pillar while taking some damage because we want to do more Back in Time later. And all of this 15-minute, 17 minutes will be based exactly to get these conditions.
Nice. Looks like, so Firework went for a more risky variant of the Sky reverse bit warp, but it looks like it worked, so that's good. You'll notice, if you remember the path that Zeldz took, he went all the way across Skyloft to a different loading zone, just because that one is right next to the dive platform, so you just load immediately into the sky once you call your Loftwing. So it's easy to time.
Mm-hmm.
But the other one, like, it probably wouldn't be so much of an issue if it weren't so terrible if you miss it. Like, your options if you fail this trick are to do some weird thing by saving in the tunic prompt, or to reset the run.
Yeah.
That unfortunately happened in my first game with Andy. Well, no, that was like for a different reason. Like, he forgot to save Upper Academy, but
Firework having a bit of trouble with the Gwei, trying to get the triple hit death.
It's kind of a notorious trick because it's somewhat RNG based, and it just
skill issue actually.
Yeah, it's not as RNG as people usually think. Like, there's a strategy that Exto showed me that seems to work pretty well.
Now you go for the SVA route, or you're a coward.
Anyway, so now we're in Farron.
And we are immediately going to be going to Skyview Temple.
Yeah, so a few things to note. For one, since we don't have the tunic, Sealed Grounds is in what's called Layer 0, which is the base state of this area where nothing is loaded except the bare necessities.
No fence.
Yeah, there's no fence, so we can just fall down.
Although if there was no fence, there would be a Baba, which we can die to anyway, so it wouldn't really matter all that much.
We'll see the fence and Babas later on.
Yeah. and they will be annoying. I'm sure they'll be annoying.
Alright. So a lot of the stuff we did on Skyloft with the Remlit and entering and exiting Rina's house, which we didn't even mention, but it was the thing that happened.
True.
Trust me.
Another checkout's coming.
Yeah. The idea is hang on a second. Take over.
Alright, so the idea is that we now have a bunch of information on our files that will be corresponding and read by different maps that we go visit. So I explained reverse back in time first, but we're going to be doing reverse bit magic first, but we're going to be doing regular bit magic now for a lot of this, and then ending with a reverse bit warp. It's weird that we do the reverse versions of these before we do the actual versions of these, but it's whatever. We'll stick with it.
Yeah, as a fun fact, we do four consecutive instances of reverse bit warp in this route.
It's fun.
into the sky, into Skyview, into the goddess statue, and into Eldon. Anyway, I have to step away for some amount of time, so I'll be back hopefully later, maybe.
All right, bye, Yal.
But yeah, point is a lot of the stuff that we did on Skyloft was so that we can load information into the Farron region because, surprise, surprise, the memory addresses of the things we did on Skyloft can correspond to different things in Farron. So yeah, all right.
Yeah, so I'm gonna make an analogy here that's really silly and stupid and might not work. But think of it like every map is a different person. And these people have never met, and they don't know anything, but they never ask any clarifying questions. So, one of them goes to the other and says, hey, you know John? You know this person named John? And the other person's like, yeah, I know this person named John, but they don't know each other, so they're thinking of two different people named John. And basically that's how this works, is the scene flags are named Johns, and they're two different Johns. So when you load in the file with the John flag in a different map, it's a completely different thing, as we'll see here pretty soon. We saw actually a bit earlier, the flag leading to the behind the temple area kind of appeared out of nowhere. Shut up. What was I saying? Oh my god, you distracted me. So the log that kind of poofed down to the behind the temple region kind of appeared there. It just popped in a place, and that flag was the Fledge flag, was the Talk to Fledge flag. Because we talked to Fledge at the beginning of the run, and then Skyloft was like, oh yeah, that flag, we selected the file, and the game was like, oh yeah, you should load the John flag. And then the behind the temple area was like, oh yeah, the John flag, you mean the log being down. And they don't clarify, so we got the log, and it allows us to get the behind the temple. So right here we died in back in time because we need to reload the area with file 1's flags, which are the flags for lowering the vine. You normally need the slingshot to collect. So that's going to be down now, as it is there. And that was actually what we needed the house for. That's why we entered that random person's house. So yeah, now we're going to this area, and we are going to select file 1, and then we are going to select file 3, skip the cutscene, and then reselect file 3, and all of this sequence does is triggers the crystal cut. Selecting file 1 and file 3 in that way makes it so that this crystal cutscene will play out completely, and it will lead into the entering Skyview cutscene. So what we did there is we started the file and then entered the loading zone for Skyview. So the game took the coordinates that were on our file, which was, if you remember earlier, we saved at the Upper Academy, and applied those to Skyview when we entered in. So we skipped like 2/3 of the temple. I hope that was helpful. I have to explain this every time, and I feel like I do it worse every time. So we killed that Staldra. The reason we're over here is because we are in Skyview Layer 0, and this is the base layer for Skyview, which does not have the rope that we need to cross to the boss area. So we have to reload the map, and now that Bokoblin is there, which might be annoying. And unfortunately, that spider is there. Zeld's opting to kill it so that it doesn't swing back and juke him. Because if you die here, you have to redo that entire sequence, which would lose like 5 minutes. It's a big deal, so I understand why he might opt to do that instead of saving like a second or two. Also saving at this statue so that if he dies to gear him, he will spawn in front of the boss area instead of spawning back in Skyloft, because that would be bad. Eating a death to gear him also means you would have to redo all the stuff in Skyview, which was not a lot, but kind of a lot, because it loses a lot of time. Especially since we're doing even more things right now. So yeah, we don't have the slingshot, so we're gonna cut that far vine down with a skyward jump slash, and it just managed to reach the vine. Another trick that's not possible without hero mode, by the way, because the skyward strikes are given the power of the Master Sword. So that extra distance just barely lets us hit that vine. So another reason that we can't skip out on hero mode. H. Well, soon H. Also, no one's gonna go for this trick, but in this temple, I discovered a trick that saves like 2 seconds. It's like a very, very precise angle where you can swing on the vines, and skip doing a backswing to get momentum and just do a straight up swing all the way to the boss key. I just want to point that out because it's the only thing I've ever done for this game, other than making some very scuffed timings. Anyway, H. And we're gonna go fight Girahim. Girahim is basically an RNG boss. The first phase is fine. Like, it's pretty straightforward. You just do a set amount of hits to get the damage in. Not getting in the spin attack there. I don't know what Zelda's doing. That is the wrong order. But I guess it doesn't matter because it caps out anyway. There we go. And it just skips that duck, is what the optimal damage cycle is. So now we pray that he doesn't do darts. Okay, so this attack, you just slash the opposite way, and there he did the darts. Wonderful. Oh, that was actually kind of clutch, because he walked into the darts, and then he had to dodge them. More darts, wonderful. The optimal strategy for Girahim is to... Oh my god! I know Zeld's heart is at 1 billion beats per second right now. Because of that scuffed series of events. This is the worst Girahim RNG I've seen in a long time. The dart attacks, he's not actually vulnerable doing. So you want to just get rid of those so that he does another attack. So... yeah, oh my god, this is absolute ass RNG. This is so bad. I'm so sorry. There we go. Oh no, did Firework fail the RBW? Oh, that sucks. This is actually one of the longest sequences, so failing this one is actually pretty bad. Rip in peace. Firework. I'll try to pay attention to both screens. Give me a break. I'm one person. It is the longest. Okay, that's interesting. So, yeah, the optimal strat for Gear him is to kind of like lure him towards the center. I hope he didn't recopy. I don't think he did. I might be forgetting though. Oh, I don't think there was a... I think it's impossible for him to recopy because otherwise he wouldn't be behind the temple. Because you can only get in there if you have a Skyloft file, and if you recopy, you're out of Skyloft files. So I think we're good. Yo, ZeldaSpeedRuns rating for with a party of 50 raiders. What's up, ZeldaSpeedRuns? Welcome to ZeldaSpeedRuns 2. Hello, raiders. Okay, so what we're doing here is saving at this prompt. And whenever you save at a prompt, your coordinates are the same as they would be with a new game file. So they're basically the same coordinates of when you would load into a map anyway. So now we're going to be doing another reverse bit warp into the goddess statue to place the Elden Pillar, because it's much faster to just like poof in there with back in time shenanigans than it is to manually fly all the way back. That takes a long. So we just want to get in there, place the Elden Tablet, and unlike the previous reverse bit warp, our coordinates will be set to the entrance of the goddess statue because of the saving at the prompt. Also, the reason we bonk that tree during back in time every time is to update the map, because if you change the environment, like do a scene flag, the game doesn't want you to farm blue rupees from that tree, so only one will fall down, and it will remember that rupee fell down. And that will update the map to have all the other scene flags that you have on that file. And because it's a Skyloft file, the gates to the Academy are open. So, what is WingClash category? That's just the name of the tournament. It's just a Skyward Sword any % tournament. Oh, category and your percent, yeah. Yeah, I'm very smart. So yeah, Zeld's getting the Elden Pillar and Fireworks entering the dungeon of Skyview and is going to do all the fun things. Oh no, the void. Slightly to the right of the grabbable part of that ledge, unfortunately. And then slightly to the left of that grabbable ledge. Very unfortunate series of jumps. Okay, center. Got it, barely. Good job, Fireworks. Epic. Zeld's going to be doing back in time because now we want to get into Elden, but we want to get into Elden in a very specific part of Elden that will be very out of bounds. And to do that, we need to do another reverse bit warp. And Firework clutching out the single cycle on the Staldra there by sniping that last head. Very epic. So all we need to do for this reverse bit warp is get the coordinates of the statue from behind the temple onto the Elden map. So, problem is, none of our files actually went back to save there, because we had to do all that big sequence of getting into Skyview, so we are going to be going there, saving, then leaving, then going to Elden. So we're going to be going to Farron specifically just to safe at that one statue and then go to Eldin. So it's gonna be fun. Eldin also just barely happens to be in bounds of the wing ceremony cutscene. So even before we did this whole like file setup with the sky to get into the to do all these like skips, like to be able to get into Farron and back in time pillar. Actually, I think playing on back in time crashes. A funny thing to point out. Whoa. Maybe. If the statue wants to be nice. There we go. And then we're going to be going back out to the sky. Firework, unfortunately, voiding to that vine. That vine is pretty tricky sometimes. And then what's going to be happening on Zeldz's end? Zeldz. That's fun. Is going to be doing the zipper glitch. The zipper is the name for that big rock that gives you a boost. So that rock is just barely out of bounds of the wing, like the Loftwing tutorial bounds, which is what we're in. So he's kind of getting caught in the zipper. The game is trying to put him back in bounds, but he gets caught in the zipper and is infinitely building up speed. So he could just zoom over to the Eldin pillar easily and reverse bit warp in. Looks like that worked. Firework doing Girahim, getting bad RNG, but Zeldz got kind of worse RNG, so I think it's fine. Now Zeldz is just going to be climbing to the top of the volcano because there is collision out here for whatever reason. Actually, I know the reason. Because I think they use an auto collision generator for a lot of parts of the map to make sure nobody can like void out of bounds or whatever. Oh yeah, that was actually a really quick Girahim on Fireworks, and especially compared to the very bad RNG Zeldz got. So yeah, H. So true. We are going to be exploiting that auto collision thingy, like the fact that there's collision where there really shouldn't be later in the run, but this is the first instance of that. You have to manage your stamina kind of well here. Technically, a lot of these slopes, it doesn't really matter if you're sprinting up them because like they're too steep to really like matter. But there's a few that you can only get up by sprinting. So Zeldz taking the longer way down there, then bonking gracefully. And then now we're going to do our first instance of reverse bit magic, or our second instance. But this one's the one where we do it with the scene flag, so it's not obvious what we're doing. Like, with the Farron pillar, we put the Farron pillar onto our file in back in time, and then we got the Farron pillar in our file. Now we're going to be opening the shed to Betrow, and then that John flag, when it's read by Eldin, is going to be the door to the Earth Temple being open, which is convenient. So we're going to go do that. Link, if you notice, toe. Except they're not pronounced the same. The million pronunciations of my name. Oh, that was autocorrect. Nice. explain Tendalus skip. We simply do not go to Sandship. That's Tendalus skip in this game. D. Oh, you fell for it. These nuts. Got him. Zeld's entering Elden. Gonna do the climb. Potato. Boil him, mash him, put him in a stew. So sure. D. D nuts. So true. Oh my god, dragon. Alright, so now we're gonna do a bunch of really egregious cutscenes, making sure that you know that this ball is rolling. Yes, that ball is in fact rolling. And then Fi tells you, yo, oh, Zelda is here. But you can actually read it this time. You don't need me to tell you. You can read the text. If you're a fast reader. If you're a semi-fast reader, sorry. Did I say dragon? I don't think I said dragon. That's a dragon that Girahim's sitting on. So then Girahim is complaining against Zelda. Honestly, I think I've made this joke before, but this game could save so much time if Girahim got a proper therapist to vent about this kind of stuff instead of choosing to pick us. Like, honestly, bud, you can, like, talk to somebody about this, so. Very underrated. I actually disagree. Fireworkspinner having a very clean Elden climb. All things considered. The drop was a little scuffed, but I'm very picky about my drop quality, so. Girahim wouldn't be nearly as campy. Campy, like, in Smash Bros? Campiness is why we love him. No, we love him because he's fruity. So yeah, we're doing this, the Scaldera fight, but we have to use it only with, or we have to beat this boss only using the bombs at the very top of the slope. So we're doing a very specific amount of damage here, triggering the rage phase, kind of. There we go. And then that means we get to attack the ball. Ooh, almost, but I don't think that was a soft lock. I think he just barely got there in time. Well, we shall see. This fight can potentially soft-locked because we need the eye to be hittable on that rage phase. And that only happens if you hit the eye after a timer, or within the space of a timer. Your heart rate is fucked. You're doing great. You're doing great. There we go. It's gonna be okay. You're doing fine. Come on. We're all here to have good fun and go fast. Oh, it's because you're PBing. Or because you're on really good pace.
Guess who's back?
My bad. Eminem. Is it Eminem?
Sure, let's go with that.
Okay, cool. Oh, jeez. Finally, I can go drink water. You talk about something for once.
Alright. So, this is something. That bunk doesn't really matter because door cycles. So, that door, it's like, it's pulsing between bright and dark. And you can't open the door until it decides you're allowed to. Also, Firework is doing an alternate method of getting into Earth Temple without the beetle. We're first going to RBM away a rock that's going to be in the way otherwise. And next thing, bonk, because there are a bunch of hidden rupees in this game, and they set flags of some kind, so they're useful for doing what's called a commit. So,
I had to
thus
wrap
far,
some for Pepper a few months ago
thus
for
far,
the new underrun. I
thus
know where they
far,
all are.
Thus far, like, we haven't really had to go out of our way to commit, because it was either a story flag RBM, which means just like you don't. Basically, with story flag RBMs, you're writing directly to the memory, and that's just kind of saved globally, so you don't have to do something. But for scene flag RBMs, you have to do something to load it in, because you're basically writing to the saved memory, I believe. And then when you do something, or no, you're writing to the okay, for some reason, for some weird reason, there's like a copy of the memory of scene flags, and then there's a second one for when you're saved, or vice versa. And when you do an RBM, you only write to one of those, and you have to do something else to ensure that the game's like, oh, okay, you did something, so let me write this bit into memory and copy everything over. And in doing so, it actually copies over the thing you were supposed to do, the intention, and now it's for real.
Basically, that thing I talked about with bonking the tree during Back in Time to open the gate also applies to the non-Back in Time maps when you do an RBM. Like, it's the reverse of that. So you need to update it to make sure that that flag is actually there on the game.
And we actually did do a scene flag RBM earlier to get past the bridge in Earth Temple. However, the cutscene that's involved with that bridge counts as a commit, so we just kind of get it for free.
True.
However, we're going
and
to
then
have
some
to
commits
commit.
just auto commit. Like,
yeah,
it's kind of a case by case thing.
So what you saw Zeldz do there was exactly like what we did at the start of the run, where we put the Farron pillar on our file, except now we put the Laneru pillar on our file, which we actually, you also, if you were astute, you would have noticed Zeldz picked up a rupee in Back in Time with file 3, which tells the game, okay, you've picked up a rupee, so I need to copy over all your inventory flags, which includes the Amber Tablet that you just got from the end of Earth Temple. And so now you can, like, place the Amber Tablet in Back in Time. And you might also notice we're now playing on file 1 again. So file 3 has done all the dirty work in Skyview and Earth Temple.
We only needed file 3 to get the Elden thing, because and then to get the Elden thing, you need to get the Farron thing. But really, other than that, we really only need Laneru. Like, sure, we need some file, like some flags from Earth Temple to make it easier, but like.
And you also need a file with the tunic, because one of the RBMs is in like a specific area behind the temple, which only happens when you have the tunic. So what Firework did is bit warp with the coordinates of the sealed ground statue, which spawns you in the map chest room, very high up. That's why he had to die earlier to get some health back. And then also why the rock had to be RBM, because otherwise it would be in the way and you just couldn't reach the center of the room.
The very slow alternative to doing Kisi, but the much safer one. So.
I would probably suggest to Firework to just learn how to do key seed, because you could probably fail it like 3 times before it becomes slower than the backup, or the alternative, I should say.
Absolutely. Back in times are, despite being very useful, also incredibly slow. So if you want to skip like little annoying things, like they're probably never worth it. Like, they have to be huge sequence breaks to be worth it.
Not to mention, the bit warp required that you go all the way to Farronwood. Like, if it were, let's say, a Bazaar or Upper Academy bit warp, it would still be somewhat slow, but not nearly as slow as ended up being. Anyway, now Zeldz is in Laneru, and fun fact, we no longer have any files that are on Skyloft. That was file 1, and now file 1 is in Laneru. which means we can't open the gate, which means we have to do the old-fashioned way of voiding out, and now we're on the other side. And we're going to bit warp here at the upper academy. And now we're out of bounds. Thankfully, there's plenty of collision over here. The point being, there's like a shortcut to get to the Lanayru caves from the mines, like if you use the claw shots. However, if you go out of bounds here, you can just kind of jump into the caves, and because you don't have claw shots, normally there's a Goron blocking the crawl space to Gorge, but because you're not supposed to do that until the Song of the Hero quest, but when you don't have claw shots, he's not there, so you can just enter the Lanayru Gorge. And this was actually like a really old trick. Like, old any% used to do this because it would save time later when you had to come back to the Gorge, and it would skip all of mines. But it's useful to us now because with some instances of back in time, we can essentially complete the minecart escort early, like super early, and on a bare bones layer, which gives us access to the boss rush minigame, which is the ultimate goal of the speedrun, because there's some trickery we can do in one of the refights.
So true.
So yeah, this is the Gorge. Gonna save,
Yes.
as usual. And we'll get ready
And
for...
then death. And it's faster to die into this void because it skips the Link getting up and then falling back down in animation. So whenever we can die into a void, we take those.
And if you can't die into a void, it's preferable to take like low knockback than high knockback.
Yes.
And if you're playing a category where you actually get bombs and it matters, it's marginally faster to die sideways than backwards. So
But we're not doing that. Items are cringe.
yeah, but you'll notice that like anytime somebody selects File 1 and Back in Time, it's really funny because it's just the Goddess Sword and nothing else. And really, all File 1 has is the Goddess Sword, the Emerald Tablet, and the Amber Tablet. And that's where we're going to beat the game.
Yeah. So this RVM is to get rid of a rock blocking the minecart escort near the end. And the reason we need that is because we need that minecart to be able to revive the Thunder Dragon, which we need to get to Girahim 3, which we're going to use to beat the game.
Save that for later. Anyway, because we don't have any items, we don't have the bomb bag or the hook
I was right, the Babas were annoying.
That you would be expected to use to get past that rock. Also, Zeldz almost failed this by crashing in the Ferrum Pillar, like he only barely selected File 1 at a time. Anyway, so by having a file with the tunic selected here, there's a cutscene that starts where like the statue's being activated or whatever. And that cutscene sets a flag every frame, so this RBM is really easy. You just start your file anytime during the cutscene, you're fine.
The only mistake I've ever made during this RBM is accidentally selecting File 1 early so the cutscene didn't appear, but that can be fixed by just selecting File 3.
File 3 again. You might have even noticed, as he was dying there, you saw a rock blow up in the distance, and that's the rock that we're talking about.
Yes.
And Zeldz blew up the rocks that were right next to him as they commit. Make sure that the army actually does something. Right now we're gonna do it. Like it really starts out the exact same way. In fact, all of the RBMs in Lanayru start the exact same way. But this time, the intention is to set the temporary flag of having started the minecart escort. Because, so, fun fact, you could actually RBM the minecart just being set at the end. However, that doesn't actually get you anywhere because, for some reason, actually completing the minecart escort legit, like where you'd normally get a cutscene, changes the layer of the linear gorge, and only on that layer does the Thunder Dragon actually exist.
It is very
it's really dumb. This speedrun would be like under an hour long if we didn't have to get around that. But alas. So we're setting the flag of having started the minecart escort such that we can go out of bounds later. And
Firework having a bit of trouble with the Scaldera fight here, unfortunately.
Yeah, this can be a little bit finicky sometimes.
So, this RBM specifically, we're going to be going to Manucho, I mean. The Kiwi we have to save at the beginning.
When we originally went to Farron for the Skyview RBW, we entered with a file that hasn't seen the cutscene that plays when you first enter Farron, like where like the sealed grounds is being showed off. And that cutscene actually sets layer 1, I believe, in Farron Woods, which is the layer that has Machi and all the other Kikwis, so that you can like do the quest to get the slingshot. Ooh, it looks like Firework softlock there. It's unfortunate. But now, since we entered with a file that has seen the cutscene, we're on the correct layer. Like, originally we entered a file that hasn't seen it, so we were on layer 0 and nothing was there. So we reload. Anyway, point is, Machi's here now. And this text box sets a temporary flag, and so if we just RBM it, now the escort.
Yes.
Has been started. And this flag is, like, really weird. A few things, like, there's a plane over by the, like, main minecart escort area where you get started, where if you pass it, the flag will unset, probably to prevent you from smuggling it outside. If you die, you lose the flag. And, fun fact, in HD, using the amiibo does not get rid of the flag. So you can just amiibo right back and you'll still be in the minecart escort.
That's really funny.
But anyway, point is, dying for back in time doesn't count as dying because we reset it away, so we'll still have the flag.
Yeah, it's really saving after a death that unsets the flag, not really dying itself.
Well, no, it's I just meant that he died, but it was to perform back in time anyway, and it's like no.
Yeah, so the game doesn't remember that you died.
Yeah. So now we're going to do the same thing we did earlier in the main part of linear, because this statue is also placed very helpfully out of bounds. Once Zeld's frames decide that we're going to be able to see it. There we are. Okay. So we are quite far out of bounds. However, from here we can move over to one of these sections of the minecart escort. And part of the minecart escort is if you void out at any point, the minecart, like, you have to redo the section of the escort that you voided out at, because the minecart will have to reappear next to you. However, we can exploit that if we get like to near the end of the escort over here and we void out, then we'll just be at the last part, which will skip all of the required item uses. Like normally you'd need the claw shots, the whip, a bunch of different things, but thankfully you can just skip right past those because we don't have any of those, and it would be really out of the way to go get them.
Also, the minecart escort is cringe, and I don't want to do it.
Yeah. So, what the trick that Zeldz just did is jank jump or stupid jump, because you have to do a setup for it, and it... Ooh. Fireworks seems to have soft-locked again.
Oh, that sucks.
But anyway, the setup for the jump is just... Sometimes it decides not to work, and can be frustrating. Anyway, so we're down here. Again, once the frames cooperate. Oh, now we're here.
Woo! And now
So
we're gonna
we're
do a
gonna-
break slide, so we can get to the end of that, or
Yeah,
not.
so now we're close enough to... He must have had enough stamina to do it normally. Anyway, we're
Nice.
close enough to the thing that now we void out and we're at the last part. And now we just kind of have to wait. Not really
Yeah.
anything we can do.
Firework, unfortunately, soft-locked the fight again and has to do it a third time. Stuck
Thankfully-
in Scaldera Purgatory.
You can blow up those rocks, but thankfully, since we're on... Okay, so the trigger... You might notice that the gorge seems kind of barren right now. Like, normally there's dragon bones and stuff. It's because layer 1 of the gorge is set by defeating Levias. So we're on layer 0, so it's only bare bones stuff, and among the things that are gone are 1, the Deku Babas that would normally be in that last part, and 2, there's normally a cutscene once the minecart gets close. But it doesn't exist, which is somewhat unfortunate because I feel like the minecart would get here a little bit faster if it did exist. Alright, now the minecart's clicked into place. We have both the correct layer for... Unfortunately, it looks
Seems
like...
there is...
Yeah, it looks like, unfortunately, Firework has forfeited. So now we're just kind of waiting for Zeldz to finish. It's unfortunate. I didn't know if we would get him in for an interview or... But yeah, if Scaldera decides not to cooperate like that, it's...
Being stuck in Scaldera Purgatory is definitely enough to...
Fireworks doing his best movie hacker impression, saying, "I'm in."
True.
But now...
Hello?
We'll be watching the last back in time of the game. Part of the problem with being on the wrong layer and stuff is the fact that we can't revive the Thunder Dragon normally, and we also can't get the Life Tree Seedling. So we have to do an RBM to revive the Thunder Dragon, so that we can actually play his minigame, because it's a little bit hard to play a minigame with a Bones Dragon.
So, Firework is in here now. What's up?
My depression. That's what's up.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
My desire for a salty run back. That's what's up. A lot of things are up. My blood pressure is up. What's up with all y'all?
Not...
Yeah, that was... How did I soft lock twice there? Like, I do not understand how I soft locked there twice.
So,
I think
the eyeball is on a pretty strict timer.
Yeah, but like I did like all the right damage slashes, I thought. And I was like,
It's not a damage thing, it's a timer thing. You just didn't get there in time. So if you want a safe way to never soft lock, don't hit it behind it for damage, or run past it damageless. Run past Scaldera damageless, so that you have enough time to, hit that slash at the very end, or like as soon as it becomes vulnerable, and then you won't ever soft lock that fight. But it was really unfortunate that you were stuck in Scaldera Purgatory.
The problem with the damageless thing is you run the risk of him doing the funny thing where he jumps into the lava.
That's not a risk. If you know how to get around it, you can get around it.
And then failing Skyview RBW was a really big blow, but I did almost make all that time back, and then Scaldera happened.
Right, you
didn't
because
happen.
your Girahim fight was really good. Like that was some awesome
That was
energy.
probably my best G1 I've ever had. And I also did the risky Sky RBW and got it.
Yeah.
And
It did look kind of weird, like you were kind of flying around for a while, but eventually.
yeah, I kind of do that just to make sure that I'm like lined up myself correctly. But yeah, very, very unfortunate.
Yeah.
But you got.
I should.
So.
Yeah, so the RBM Zeldz is doing right now is for 2x20, which
it is like
spawns the Thunder Dragon.
2x20 in general is a weirdly ubiquitous scene flag. Like, off the top of my head, it's the early Thunderhead flag. It's this flag. It's the one part of Sealed Grounds.
The thing that triggers the
Impa tutorial.
Yeah.
It's
like
it's the Skyview doors, as you just saw.
Right, yeah.
It's this rock in Eldin. It's talking to a robot in Nehru. I guess those aren't in this book. Anyway, point is, Thunder Dragon's alive, and we can participate in this minigame. So, let's take you back about, how long ago would this have been? 7 months. I'm watching, like, Jasnix and Jace do an HD race. They're, like, doing Song of the Hero, and I'm like, man, it really sucks that this stupid statue thing never ended up working out. Let me just, like, try some Copium stuff on Dolphin Memory Engine and see what I can try, because like maybe I can like slip past a void plane when Girahim's getting back up. Long story short, after some messing around, I accidentally found that if you wait for Girahim to get up after you knock him down, his platform behaves very strangely, and you have the opportunity to knock him off until you have the opportunity to knock him off before it starts rising back to its intended height, and you can get lower and lower, and that also pushes down a void plane, which means we can reach a very exciting point of interest. So yeah, completely on accident, but also thanks to Dolphin Memory Engine. So was a Rispin Magic. Honestly, Dolphin Memory Engine has saved this game like 3 hours, if not more. Crazy.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to count the time it's saved in... Actually, never mind. I am dumb.
Anyway, so here's the trick. We're going to hang off this ledge, wait a little bit, and knock him off. You'll notice the platform is moving horizontally, but not vertically. So now, the platform is a little bit lower down. You'll also notice that Zeld's kind of hit Girahim behind where Link spawned. Because in that direction, there happens to be a bird statue. This should still be salvageable if he does it quickly. Alright. So there's this bird statue that our main goal is to like fall down and save and quit there, because if we save and quit, the game is like, oh, okay, so you're not in a minigame anymore because you just loaded your file. You're in the real boss fight. Because boss rush is weird. Okay, yeah. I think what Zeldz did there is he had the timing of the backflip strategy, but he didn't backflip. And this timing is way too early for just a straight up jump down. So what was supposed to happen is you fall down onto the platform and knock him down one final time, and at that point the platform is low enough that you can jump down to the statue without voiding out. However, he jumped down too early, and so you might have noticed Girahim's platform started rising up immediately, and that just means you're too late. Like, you're not able to reach the statue because you'll void out. And kind of fail it. So we're going to
Yeah.
be trying again.
Honestly, if Zeldz hadn't have already done like Machi RBM, I probably would have continued. But once I looked at on restream and saw he was doing Gorge out of bounds, I'm like, yeah, there's no way I'm catching up, and it's not even close to a PB. So
Yeah, quite unfortunate, but
we got 2 more races in theory at most, 1 more at least.
Another try.
yeah.
Okay, this time he remembered to get up and backflip. Right, so now the platform's only moving horizontally. Ooh, kind of hit him in the wrong direction. Maybe we'll still be fine.
Oh nope, that's too high, I think.
Yeah, okay, so Zeldz kind of struggled a little bit with getting him to, with knocking him off the platform fast enough, which unfortunately means the platform had time to start rising again, and then the void plane was just high enough to cover the ground, which is unfortunate. And now, since part of this involves taking fall damage, 2 hearts is not enough to complete trick, so you have to die and retry. I don't know how many mistakes Zeldz has on his Gear Him 3 segment, but this is kind of, yeah, he was on PB pace, but we'll see what he can pull off now.
I will say that run I did very good. Elden out of bounds. That was my
Yeah, I
enter Elden split. That
commented
messed up
on that.
Enter
That was very clean.
I don't know how that zipper worked. Like I was lowered in the zipper, but I guess when it was trying to snap me back to the Loftlink tutorial, it put me through the zipper and I got the zipper speed. That was weird, but it worked, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, whatever works. So we're gonna be attempting the trick again. Hopefully, it works.
So yeah, the purpose of the backflip strategy is, when I investigated why, because for the longest time, we've kind of been using the same strategy for the entire time this trick's existed, and some people have been consistent with it. Like Jace said, he never had issues with it, but a lot of people, including myself, have had frustration with it. Just sometimes decides not to work. And when I looked around in Dolphin, I found that the part where you jump slash to make sure that you can act fast enough after falling, that's what usually causes the inconsistency. So the purpose of the backflip is to make sure that you can fall regularly so it's consistent, but you're also so far away that you don't have to worry about being too slow to knock him down. But the only downside is you have to act fast to actually knock him off the platform.
Right. You
So
have
we'll
to
see.
kind of play around what his AI decides to do there. Although it'll mostly always attack you.
Yeah, this looks good. There we go. 117 in-game time is actually pretty good for an escape. I've been trying to optimize mine because
I will
I feel
say,
like the
if I
backflip
remember
strategy-
correctly, I do believe Zeldz has the English world record.
Oh, it does?
I think
yeah, that would make sense.
No, I think actually Darmabi does, but
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of English runners now. Oh, my goodness.
yeah.
I'm in heaven.
So Firework forfeited because of soft locking twice in the Scaldera fight, and he decided that it just wasn't worth continuing given Zeld's position near the end of the run. Ooh, that was that setupless?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's my strat.
Props to very nice there. So that fence hop right there, we've actually known about that for over a year, and it's the whole reason that we've actually been trying to figure out how to get to the statue, because you might have noticed if the statue's on the ground and we could do this jump this entire time, then why didn't we just do the jump? Well, There's there's an invisible wall that blocks the statue from where you jump out from the fence corner. Because in the horde fight, there's a wall blocking off that statue, so you can't just reach it normally, and they didn't bother changing the collision. So it was really sad. There was even an elusive glitches video made by it, but thankfully there's like this blessing that every time Jim does an elusive glitches video for Skyward Sword, we eventually find a solution. Like, I'm pretty sure the only video that's still accurate is the Fire Sanctuary bird statue one.
Yeah, that one would... But would that still be useful for all dungeons, or is the new thing faster?
I mean, I would assume it would be useful because you skip having to do RBMs. You have you have to bit warp anyway, so...
Sorry, I'm not familiar with the new route. I thought we skipped it, but that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. The all dungeons route implements the skips for both the Water Dragon skill video and the Gate of Time video. So that's pretty cool. And then obviously this category just completely bypasses the Gate of Time by doing this.
Yeah. Who needs a Gate of Time when we have whatever this is?
Yeah, it's really strange. The boss rush minigame like puts you into the actual arenas, but like with a minigame flag.
Yeah, thanks to the devs just really wanting an extra mode, just a little bit more content for this game before they pushed it out. We have a bunch of wacky stuff in Boss Rush.
Yeah, so before G3 Escape was found, the route still went to Boss Rush quickly because if you fight the imprisoned, the game like has to unset some story flag progress to make sure that it's not like in the wrong imprisoned fight or whatever. And it's like, okay, so to make sure things don't break, we have to set these flags back again. And so it just kind of gave you the flags for free. And so
yeah, just unset them before the fight started, and then once you finish the fight, you're like, okay, now have them back so that you don't have to refight.
Because this is supposed to be like an end of the game minigame. Like, you're supposed to have already done the dungeon flags that it's unsetting for you.
And you see, when you say finish, that does not necessarily mean beat, so you can just die.
Yeah, that means death. Yeah, you can have a death.
Yeah, I mean, like, even in this run, we never finish the Girahim fight in the boss rush.
Yeah, we actually don't need to finish this one.
Yeah, and in fact, it's really, like, the escape sequence we kind of glossed over. But since we're in the statue area, Girahim is all the way up in the sky. There's no way we're reaching him, so we have to first slide out of that statue area, do the fence clip to jump out to the arena, run high enough that the void plane that we manipulated earlier will catch us, and for weird reasons, the game, like, moves Girahim's platform to you whenever you void out.
Yeah, this fight is very well thought out.
And then using that, you can knock him off of the fence, and then... Yeah, I'm assuming the platform thing is just to make sure that you don't, like, accidentally infinitely void.
Yeah.
But
it's a very stuffed solution.
But because we actually touched solid ground, the game doesn't do the thing it normally does where it, like, resets your coordinates. But it just puts you on the ground.
Skyward Sword is quirky like that.
Anyway, Zeldz actually saved a decent amount of time over PB in that last segment, so he could barely pull a PB out of this. He's like, I can't quite read his splits, but I think that's like -7 seconds.
That is in fact -7 seconds.
In the fast cycles for Demise, very optimal.
Yeah, so you might have noticed the Girahim fight took a decent while longer. That's because we're fighting with the toothpick.
So true.
But thankfully, Demise is hit-based, not damage-based, so even though we have a much weaker sword, it's basically the same as if you had the true Master Sword. And that is
GG. That is a 12-second PB.
Wow.
For Zeldz. Very epic.
And a victory in game 1.
Yes.
So yeah. These two will play at least one more game. This is a best of 3, as are all the matches in this tournament up until the last one.
GG's.
Yeah.
GG's.
Oh my
You
god,
just for
my
one
nerves
person.
are
Okay.
shot, man.
Congrats on the PB.
Thank you. I did not think I would PB. I lost 4 minutes to G3 escape.
Hey, that's 4 minutes.
Also,
time
shout
saved.
outs to my fins hop. I've never done that before. I said, well, I'll
Yeah,
go
that
for
was
Setupless.
that was sick.
I got swag points there, I guess.
Wait, what'd you do?
The extremely fast fins hop. I've like
Oh,
never
yeah,
done
yeah,
it that
yeah.
fast.
Hell yeah. That's the Tato route.
The Tato special.
The Tato special.
Well, I golded 2 splits in here. Got my sum best down to 116.17, so not
Oh,
too
nice.
shabby.
What's my sum best down to? Because I know I did a fat gold on Elden.
This run was not bad up until gear him, I would say.
Oh, I
Like,
forgot. If it automatically ends my splits if I forfeit, so I have a massive gold split for Demise, which should not be there.
I was
Like,
gonna say I saw that on your.
Yeah.
Well, fun fact, since it
Sorry,
seems
go
like
ahead.
you've connected live split to your race time anyway. If you just press the reset button, it forfeits for you on race time.
Interesting.
Also, screw my Wi-Fi. It
So
like
true.
died halfway through. I don't know why. At least it kept the stream up. And then
Yeah,
I turned the bitrate down by 2500.
I'm
The
surprised you were
stream
able
was
to
held
change-
together with duct tape.
I'm surprised you were
Pretty
able to
much.
change your bitrate without the stream going offline.
Yeah, I was a little worried about that, but I took my risks. Also, sadly, I cannot submit this because the bitrate drop cannot be submitted, and I did not record.
You why not?
Yeah, I don't
like, the race
understand this
started-
That's
epidemic
like
of
the
no
second
recording.
time something like this has happened, Zeldz.
Well, I mean, this isn't my true PB either. My true PB is a 122x.
But submit something.
True. Yeah, I'll try to PB this week and actually record.
Dude, it's one button. Come on. Next time.
But
Just
the
always.
countdown for the race was going, and I was like, okay,
To be
I
fair-
gotta be ready to press A.
To be fair, it does require like SSD or hard drive space.
I have hard drive space. It's just I was lazy or whatever.
Yeah, an hour-ish of hard drive space is not that much.
A PB by 12 seconds. I just find that so funny. Missed gold on Demise by 1 second, so that's cool. Oh wait. Yeah.
But it looks like you golded Girahim 3 by a decent
Yeah,
amount.
I golded that by a decent amount, and I also golded Lineru. But yeah. Overall, I'd say I had an okay run. I don't think I failed anything.
Besides G3 Escape.
Yeah, G3 escape, and I failed stupid jump once. But other than that, it was a okay run.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to straighten out my like Wi-Fi issues because screw that.
So true. Yeah, the Wi-Fi is the biggest run killer sometimes.
Yeah.
Hey, one of my All Dungeons PBs, so it was a run where my internet died like 20 minutes in, but I was local recording, so I still had it.
Yeah, I was so worried my internet was
Isn't
gonna
that so
crash.
helpful to have?
I was so worried my internet was gonna crash, so I started local recording like as soon as I left Night
Guess how
Academy.
many frames I dropped?
3.
1,000.
17,000, and I'm about to have 18,000. Holy. That's so goofy. It didn't seem like that much in the restream. Like, I was looking and I'm like, it's dropping like a lot of frames, but it can't be like that much. And then now I look and it's like almost 18,000 frames.
That's not that many.
Yeah, I have had like 26,000 before.
Bit of flesh wound.
Yeah, Zeldz, when I was stuck on Scaldy, I looked and saw that you were doing the gorge out of bounds, and I'm like, yeah, no, this ain't happening.
Well, I mean, you never know. I could have failed the last RBM twice.
Yeah, but like even
I don't
then,
think
like
twice was gonna.
yeah, once maybe because I did that my last run, but like not twice.
I saw when you failed the Skyview RBW. That was
Yeah, I don't
unfortunate.
know what possessed me to start the file that early. And
I always start the file after the cutscene starts. You can never be too safe with that.
Yeah, like as soon as
A lot
I
of
saw...
top runners do it like a couple frames before the cutscene starts or something, but I don't believe in that, and I'm not gonna do it.
As soon as I saw the camera clip out of bounds, I'm like, oh, I failed.
Yeah,
I
Sorry.
like at one point tried to think like, is there some timing I can use so that I can just hold to instead of having to press to? But then I saw that one clip from Exto, and I was like, maybe doing that is risky because I'll like have layer 0 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was so happy I did unsafe Sky RBW, and
Oh yeah,
that
shoutouts
worked.
to my Gearhim, by the way. I have never
Yeah, that
had a
was
Gearhim
awesome.
that bad.
I
Like,
have seen
ever.
exactly one Girahim worse than that, and it was just a clip from, I think, SVA.
Oh my goodness. Not in SSHD or SD have I ever had that bad RNG.
Yeah, no,
I
that
don't
was
know.
atrocious. I think one of my Girahims was a little worse than that, but not by a lot.
I don't know what's been up with my G1 phase 1s lately, but like I just can't do the spin attack stab strat. So I keep having to do single slash spin attack for phase 1, and I don't know why. I'm not doing anything different. It's like, why?
I do a spin attack and a slash to the right. I'm not comfortable with the stab. I don't really think it loses all that much time.
Like I can't even do the spin
Yeah, it's
attack.
just
I gotta.
minor things. As
I
long
can't
as you
do
get
this.
them to that end of that phase, it's not like you're adding any extra cycles.
True.
I mean, a PB in a race is pretty cool. I was
Sure.
on really good pace until G3 Escape.
I was
yeah.
on good pace until I failed a bunch of things.
Yeah, I wouldn't have failed G3 Escape the first time, but I had the back hop or the backflip strat in mind. And I pressed A early for some reason. I should have just done the backflip strat. I was like, okay, I'm not going to do the backflip strat because the platform is very close. And like, I didn't want to run the risk of backflipping like past the platform into the void or something.
Mm-hmm. I can see why you would have done that.
Yeah, I honestly need. And then the second time was me being stupid with my slashes. I thought it was gonna work because like I was like, that was only like a second the platform went up. Then I realized, dang it didn't work. It was like only a couple units too high.
Yeah, it was close.
Also, I saw the thing that Firework did. That bit warp for Elden or Earth Temple, that is terrifying.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
looks
Fall
scarier
so
to me
far.
than KC8.
How precise is the position?
I don't really know. Like I kind of just go for it, and yeah, I never taken 4 hearts full damage. Like I'm never that high up. I guess just barely.
Yeah. I guess it would be optimal to take 4 hearts of damage.
No, because you only have 4 hearts and you'd be dead.
Oh. Wait, you died to it?
No, for the Elden out of bounds. Is that what you're talking about, or are you talking about something different? What were you talking about?
The Earth Temple bit warp.
The Earth Temple bit warp
Oh.
instead of KC8.
Oh yeah.
That is terrifying.
Yeah, no, that you take 4 hearts of full damage, and the positioning of that's not really that precise. Like I just like have like that little stone strip on the side of the statue in sealed ground, so I'm just like always on the edge of, and as long as I'm there, it's pretty much guaranteed.
Anyway,
By the way, your Elden Out of Bounds was pretty clean. I will give you
Yeah,
that.
that was probably my cleanest Elden out of bounds. I didn't maintain the hop up the first time, so that was like the only thing that was like wrong with it.
Yeah. Mine was kind of
I-
slow, like going down to Earth Temple. Other than that, it was okay.
I have to go now. So
All right, thank you for
Easy.
commentating, Yal.
Yes. And
was
same
only for,
with
like,
me,
10.
but GG to all the runners.
And
Good job, guys. Awesome work.
Time for some more practice before we schedule game 2.
Woo! Yay!
I don't feel like I need to practice G3 Escape. I feel like I just need to actually be able to do it without being stupid.
Yeah. It's one of those things that's like a lot of times you just need to do runs. Like you don't need to practice certain things. You just
Yeah.
need to do runs so you could practice that feeling or being in that mindset of having to do a run or a race or whatever.
Yeah, I haven't done a
Because
run
that will
all
make you
week.
do very dumb things.
Yeah, it's been like all week I haven't done a run because I've been doing either Breath of the Wild or like yesterday and today I was at my grandparents'. So yeah.
Kind of same. I was either doing Minecraft or Persona 5 run. But I've done some practice with like bits and pieces here and there.
But yeah, GG's on the race. Thank you for commentating, and thank you, Tomal Tech, for the restream. I hope I said your name right, by the way.
Tech, right? Actually, Ricky's the one who actually set everything up. I'm just kind of keeping a half-ass eye on it while I play video games. So,
Well, thank you, and thank you, Rick, for the restream.
Alright, bye! Bye!
I want to also
Bye.
over to Jess, who's playing some Majora's Mask for a raid. And thank you, everyone, for coming out to watch this. You guys are great for the race, and thank you guys for commenting.
You're welcome.